The very thing that resists to allow for the unusual to take place will. Given such consideration through another's inspiration, and that is trusted in its relevance to the well-known and familiar to bring it in. Welcome. I'm so glad that you can join me here today. 322, pages 767 and 8 out of 850. And this is a course in metaphysical spirituality. My name is Reverend Maria Arvanitides, and this book is named after my ministry, TheSovereignLight. Of course, if you were to look at purchasing it online, it's called TheSovereignLight, a course in metaphysical spirituality. And won't you join me here today? Take a nice deep breath in and out. And as we begin to activate in these words the power to bring from within us into our external circumstances, let's ground and center and breathe out through the heart space center into this morphogenic field. I like to hear you say these words out loud. Sounds good. Let's commence. Take a nice deep breath in and out. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. As the drive to want to separate with comparison is no more, including within the background as you see it, the value can be realized in competition too is canceled out by it, because we see the bigger picture. To thrive is the unusual act that comes from passion, and from its inspiration, this drive will fill the field with joy by it, the mind. The energy that is consciousness can restructure the mind, and at the cellular level through the brain, the personality of the self can be changed by looking through its many attitudes that form through routine and made habit. What drives this behavior, and that as filters will deny or allow for its experience and also of the greater whole to authorize over. For your experience and also of the greater whole to authorize over your experience. So conversely, everything stems from what the self believes or defines there as most true, and thus will be experiences as physical reality. Is it possible to change the physical reality by changing its belief that gives it meaning for the experience to happen? Why, yes. In fact, it does. Thoughts can also generate directly from beliefs, mostly through the resonance of an emotional component, and that may or may not give rise to this thing called resistance. Page 768. Into that stillness point from within, and just breathe it out into your holographic field that you create. This thing called your circumstances, your reality. And let's do that. Let's create this. And let's see what we get throughout the day, and what we're able to cancel out, and if there's any gaps in between from the polarities that create the visions. So take a nice deep breath in, and let's begin. Sounds good. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. And take a nice deep breath in. Oh, and out. Today, practice on conscious level, on this conscious level, and on your conscious level, how to change the definition, and by changing the belief more on a conscious level. So, what causes time and space is the same thing that separates it, and within its fragmentations that create for opposition, the self can learn from and welcome the resistance as a part of the self, and see it for wide the gap it comes from, to bring with it the other side as opposite, reflecting back and as a mirror. So this is how the blocks can be removed, and for each level of frequency bandwidth comes with it each color of light and sound. So this was all relevant, and as such mentioned in previous lessons, these layers that make up for the self, its multiverse. Breathe that in for a moment. And on an unconscious level, the change of definitions happen all the time, and in order to have a sense of the experience to that which is reality. What in fact is reality? The experience of continuity and motion as perceived through the change of time can bring comfort that it may gift with. The self might never be aware of what directly or indirectly blocks have formed, and people who actually bring them with their doubts and feelings of they might be harmed or mistrust. So it's not just you, but it's also the mirrors and the background people and the subjects and the objects that we draw into our reality. So only from the opposition that resists within the beautiful illusion, it might become more relevant to appear when nothing is changing at all, and the self would experience a feeling of being stuck. Only the opposition can help the self from itself, and as long as it resists to change. The purpose for today and of this read an episode, is to take resistance as an indirect and or direct guide, and to help with how and where the self can change its perspective. Feel the resistance. Feel it out and see what you will get. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. Take another deep breath. And release. Feel that sigh of release, and take those deep breaths in. Surrender into the trust. The deeper you're able to breathe, the more you will get out of it. Of course you will. And say it one more time. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. Thank you. Take 2 days, and congratulations for making it through the 282 second lesson. This is a rest period to take the lessons independently as a review, and from the so many weeks and so many days of this course, of the 365-day program consisting of so many lessons and days of review that break up the lessons from every 6 days for a day, and every other week of 13 days for 2, and with a few exceptions here and there. Take these 2 days to recalibrate and make notes and review. And I will leave you with today's affirmation to take in and see what you can get. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein. When duality is canceled out, the gap is closed, and only oneness can remain to resonate therein.